Daf Kuf Tes Amid Aleph will begin Daf Kuf Ches Amid Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Tan Rabbanon Hakol Chayavim Barba Kaisis Alolu. All of these people are Chay in the Dalit Kaisis, Leil Seder, who are referring to Echad Anoshim, Echad Noshim, Echad Tinaikis, whether it's men, women, or children. They're all Chayav in Dalit Kaisis. What benefit is it for the tinaikas with wine? There's no benefit for them. So there's a machlekes how to learn this. Machlekes Rishonim how to learn it. According to the Rashbam, the pshat is that the tinaikas are potter ben mitzvahs. So why do we obligate them to drink the kaisas? They're potter ben mitzvahs. That's the way the Rashbam learns. The way the Ran learns it is, no, we're talking about a tinai shegilachenach, meaning there would be a mitzvah to educate them. According to the Rashbam, we're talking about a tinai shaloyigilachenach. So therefore, they're potter. They're potter. So what's the point of Dalit Kaisis? According to the Ran, is that no, we're talking about a kon shegilachenach. But the point is, matayels biyayin. But there's no point in wine. Wine is not going to benefit them in any way. There's no benefit. They don't enjoy it. There's not going to benefit them at all. So Ella, he answers over here, says, Machalkan, what do we do instead? Machalkan klois ve'goizem be'erev Pesach. We give to them parched grain and nuts on Erev Pesach. Erev Pesach we mean over here, not literally Erev Pesach, we mean Leil Seder night. Kidei shelo yishnu v'yishalu, so they shouldn't fall asleep and they'll ask questions. So that's what we give them. Rather, we give to them something which will be a benefit for them. So we give them either the 2 ways of learning, either that we give them something that will they will benefit them, keep them awake, and they'll be able to observe the Seder, and they'll be able to see and observe the Seder and all the things that we're doing on the Seder. That's one pshat. The second pshat is that we give them these types of things that are different. They'll notice a shinui, and that in itself will prompt them to ask the question. So we give them so they won't fall asleep and they'll ask questions. Omer Laval Rabbi Kiva, they said Rabbi Kiva that he distributed klayas and agoizim l'tinaikas b'erev Pesach kidei shelo yishnu v'yishalu, so they shouldn't fall asleep and they'll ask. Tanya Rilaz Reimer, he says chaytzim matzahs b'leil pesachim. We snatch away the matzahs and leil pesachim. So one shot is, the response says that we snatch it away because so they won't fall asleep. And because if they eat a lot, it'll get them drowsy and they'll fall asleep. We want them to be awake to observe the Seder. So we snatch away the matzahs, we take it away so they shouldn't eat too much and they'll be awake. Rashi says a different shot is, we do this gufa as a shinui. We make shinuyim on Leil Seder. So we snatch away the matzahs, we take away the Seder plate from the table. We remove it from the table so that they'll ask, why are we doing something different? And that will arouse their curiosity. Tanya, Rabbi Lezer, Tanya, Amro Laval Rabbi Kiva, they said Rabbi Kiva, Mi Yomav Lo Yomer, Higia Eis Lama Vesa Medrash, Chutz Me'arve Pesachim Ve'erev Yom Kippur. They never said that on Rabbi Kiva, he never said that it's time to get up and leave the base medrash. They stayed and never told the people that it's time to go home. Except Arvei Pesachim and Erev Yom Kippur. Except Erev Pesach and Erev Yom Kippur. Be'erev Pesach, B'shil Tinaikas Shelo Yishnu. On Erev Pesach, so the Tinaikas, they shouldn't fall asleep. The way Rashbam learns it means it's Erev Pesach. They sent them home to put their kids to sleep so that they won't be tired and they'll be up Seder night. Taisus disagrees with that, and he's gairis that not Erev Pesach means Pesach night, meaning that they didn't stay learning that night in the base medrash like they customarily did on Leil Yontiv. He sent them home to be with the Seder with their family. So that's Erev Pesach, Erev Yom Kippurim, Kedei she'achilas b'neihem, and Erev Yom Kippur, so that they should feed the family, and that they should eat. They should feed their children. They should eat before the fast of Yom Kippur. A person has an obligation to be b'simcha, but also to be mesamech his family members on the Yom Tov. It says v'samachta b'chagecha. It says v'samachta b'chagecha, and it says your son and your daughter are avodim. you misameach them. Taisus has a question: why do we bring this pasuk by this pasuk over here? This is a pasuk which is mentioned by Meiser Sheni. So why are we mentioning it over here, bringing in a relation to Yom Tov? Taisus answers, because we learn out from Meiser Sheni. We learn out the pasuk with Meiser Sheni, but we learn over here specifically. We bring this pasuk Meiser Sheni because it says Beisa, his family. So we want to emphasize the point not only v'samachta b'chagecha that he has to be b'simcha, but that he has to also be b'sameich his family members. That's why we bring this pasuk by Meiser, and we learn out from this pasuk. So it says that he has to be Mesameich his family. But Mem Samchem, how is he Mesameich them? B'yayin, with wine. Rav Yehuda Omer Anoshim B'roy Lahem, men with suitable, what's suitable for them, with Noshim B'roy Lahem, and for women, what's suitable for them. Anoshim B'roy Lahem b'yayin, with wine. So Tais points out, this is, however, only B'zman Hazeh. The time of the Beis HaMikdash is B'basar. And the time of the Beis HaMikdash is it's a simcha ain't simcha ela bebasar. But b'zman is what is it? B'yayin v'noshim b'mai, with women. What is it? Tanur Rav Yosef b'Bavel b'bigdei tzivonim. In Bavel, it's with bigdei tzivonim, with a colored garments, dyed colored garments, which are sameach. They're very they're colorful garments that the women find simcha with. Eretz Yisrael b'bigdei pishtan meguhasim. In Eretz Yisrael with pressed linen garments. Taisa says that's in Eretz Yisrael, but in Bavel they weren't experts on how to press it that well. They weren't experts on the pressing, so for them it was not with the pressed linen garments; it was the colored garments. Tanya Rabbi Yehuda ben Mesirim is mancha beis hamikdash kaim ein simcha ela b'basar. It's only with eating the meat of the korbanos. Shenemar v'zavachta shlomim v'achalta sham v'zavachta lifnei Hashem lekecha. You bring the korbanos, and you eat it, and that brings simcha v'samachta. V'achshav shein beis hamikdash kaim ein simcha ela b'yayin. But nowadays we don't have korbanos; it's b'yayin. Shenemar b'yayin yisamach levav enosh. That wine gladdens the heart. Amar Rav Yitzchak, he says, Kasa de Maraisa, the Havavit this cup, this vessel that's called a kasa that they used to measure the fat of the fish, that was in Sipore, is he Havas Kamin Luga de Mikdasha. It was the same size as the lug of the Beis HaMikdash, Ubal Misham Revius Shel Pesach, and with it you measure the Revius of Pesach. Each one of the cases you need Revius. Therefore, and if you fill up this container and you divide it among 4 kaises, you'll have the minimum shear for the dalet kaises. Amar Rav Yechoni says, Tamnaisa kadmaisa dahavat Tveria. The original keli vessel is called Tamnaisa. That was in Tveria. Haviyaser al Doriva. It was a revius more than the one that's today. It's more than the revius larger than the one that we have today. So therefore, if you, as the Rashman explains, if you fill it up, you pour it into the one that's today. What's remaining, the remainder, is a revius. And therefore you can measure the revius of Pesach. Amar of Chis, the revius shel Torah. What is the dimension of the revius of Torah? It's a boim al etzboim. It's the width of a finger, 2 fingers, etzboim, 2 fingers, which mean the thumbs, al etzboim, 2 by 2, with a height, brum etzboim, with a height of 2, v'chatzi etzba, and a half etzba, v'chaimish etzba. So 2, and we have 2, and plus a half, plus a fifth, that's 2 7/10. That's 2.7. So therefore, if you have 2 by 2, by 2.7, so that's a total amount of the revius, and that is 10.8 cubic etzboyas, and that's the measure of the revius of the revius shel Torah. Kiddusanya v'rachs b'mayim is called b'sarai. The Torah says that a person is tomei, he has to immerse himself, as in all his entire body, he has to immerse in a mikveh. So it says, as called b'sarai. It says his boss. So that means that there can't be anything chaitzes, no separation between the water and his flesh. Shelo yeh davar chaitzes ben b'sor l'mayim. You can't have a chatzitz. B'mayim b'mei mikvah. It doesn't say b'mayim. It doesn't say in water. It says b'mayim, in a specific water. It has to be in mei mikvah, water that was gathered naturally. It can't be mayim shuvim. It has to be in a mei mikvah. As kol besoroi, he has to immerse his entire body. Therefore, we learn out that the quantity of water has to be maim shekol gufa oila behem. It has to be water that he can immerse completely in, that it covers his body completely. The kamahain, what is that volume of water? It is amma al amma barum shalosh amas. It has to be an amma length and amma width with a height of 3 ammas. So, and that is the amount of water that will cover his body completely, that he'll be completely immersed in. And the Chachamim estimated that that's 40 saw. 40 saw will cover his body completely. Now, we now convert this amount to amas and to etzbois, and therefore to convert it and to see what is the amount of cubic etzbois that is equivalent to a revius. So therefore we say as follows. An amma is 6 tfachim. And 4 etzbois, there's 4 etzbois and a tefa. So therefore an amma, another way of saying an amma, if I convert it to etzbois, is 24 etzbois. So an amma by 3 ammas is 24 by 24 by 72. 24 times 24 times 72 is 41,472. So another way of saying a amma by an amma, 3 ammas, that a mikveh, in other words, is 41,472 etzbois, cubic etzbois. Now let's convert a saw to revius. A saw is 6 kavan. A saw is 6 kavan, and there are 4 lugin in a kav. And a lug, there's 4 revius in a lug. A revius is a quarter of a lug. A revius means a revius a lug, so it's a quarter of a lug. So there's 4 revius in a lug. So if you have 6 times 4 times 4, that's 96 revius in. There's 96 revius in a saw. 40 saw is times 40. So times 40 is 3,840. If we divide the amount of the reviusin, 41,472 by 3,840. So then when we divide it, we get the difference is the 10.8. So when we divide the two, when we divide the 41,472 by 3,840, that's how we get the amount of the cubic etzbois. Then we have the 10.8 cubic etzbois. That's Lafi the Mahalach Rabbeinu Chananel. There are many other shatim, but this is Lafi the Derech Rabbeinu Chananel. Therefore, that's how you can measure the amount of the revias that's needed for each kais on Pesach.